8.1. Going for question number 1. We need to find the oxidation state of oxygen in H2O2. Since we know H2O2 is a peroxide, and by definition in peroxide the oxidation state for oxygen should be -1. Even if we don't know this fact, we can go with the structure. The structure of H2O2 is somewhat like this. If I go for just covalent structure without looking for the proper bond angle, if I look into oxygen atoms, oxygen is bonded in one hydrogen and one oxygen. Since whenever this particular bond would cleave, it will lead to a homolytic cleavage, no charge distribution, but the cleavage of O and H bond will yield a negative charge over oxygen because it being more electronegative, and positive charge over hydrogen. So entirely, if O cleaves both of its bond, it would result in a negative charge over oxygen. So the oxidation state of oxygen in hydrogen peroxide is -1. Going for question number 3, I need to find the oxidation state of carbon in CH2Cl2. If I go for the structure of CH2Cl2, it would be a tetrahedral structure. I am not going for the proper structure. If I need to calculate the oxidation state of carbon, I need to cleave all the bonds. I need to break all the bonds and see how the final charge distributions would follow if all the bonds are broken. C and Cl, chlorine being more electronegative than carbon, if this particular bond breaks, it would yield negative charge over the chlorine and a positive charge over carbon. So this bond will yield +1 over carbon and -1 over chlorine. If I go for this particular bond, it would again yield -1 over this particular chlorine and +1 over the carbon. If I look for carbon-hydrogen bond, since carbon is more electronegative than hydrogen, it will yield -1 over carbon and +1 over hydrogen. And if I look for the second carbon-hydrogen bond, it will break in same way as the previous bond, -1 over carbon and +1 over hydrogen. If I look for the entire charge that gets developed over carbon, that would be 2 + 2, 2 + 1 and 2 - 1, which would be summing up to 0. So the oxidation state of carbon in CH2Cl2 would be 0. Question number 5. I have to look for the compound in which phosphorus is in +1 oxidation state. Just I can go for the normal checking. If I look for H3PO3, oxygen being in -2, hydrogen being in +3, +1.